Wabash Valley in the spotlight. We're in Terre Haute for IBJ Media's Innovate Indiana Series, exploring how new jobs, education, and tourism are driving dollars into the region.
We were able to identify pretty quickly that he was infected with parvovirus.
And Alfred the pup. See why he's alive thanks to Indiana-based Elanco Animal Health's groundbreaking parvo treatment.
I think his daughters are going to have a much different style.
And what's next for the Colts as Jim Irsay's daughters take the reins. Plus, the economic impact of Colts camp in Westfield. Inside Indiana Business is next.
From Indiana's business news leader, this is IBJ Media's Inside Indiana Business with Gerry Dick, presented by Elevate Ventures, Indiana University, and Liuna.
Hello and welcome to Inside Indiana Business. I'm Gerry Dick. This week in West Central Indiana, as our Innovate Indiana series rolls into Terre Haute, the third stop this year, shining a spotlight on challenges and opportunities facing regional economies statewide. I'm inside the historic Hulman building in the heart of downtown Terre Haute, the former home of Hulman and Company that underwent a massive renovation and restoration. It is home now to a number of agencies working to drive economic and community development, not only in Terre Haute, but also in the regional economy here in West Central Indiana. There are a lot of images, a lot of pictures that depict the history of Terre Haute and Vigo County. But now community officials here say they are in the midst of writing a new chapter that will define the region's future. Situated along the banks of the Wabash River, Terre Haute is a regional center for higher education, healthcare, and culture. A city of 60,000 in the midst of change. Downtown, more than $70 million in private investment, includes plans for a new hotel connected to the city's convention center. On the city's east side, at least 10 active building permits are part of growth that is creating a new regional commercial center. And to make way for new development, over the past 18 months, 127 dilapidated homes have been demolished. And as the city looks to the future, quality of life improvements, including an ambitious riverfront development plan, are seen as important tools in reversing declining population and median household income, which remains below the state average. And joining me now with perspective on momentum in Terre Haute and West Central Indiana, pleased to be joined by Terre Haute Mayor Brandon Sakbun. And Mayor, as always, great to see you.
Thank you for coming back to Terre Haute. I know you're an Indiana State guy, and I love hearing that term about this community and, frankly, West Central Indiana. That term is momentum, because we've got a lot of that going on in this community. Let's
talk about that. You and I sat down a year ago when we were here for our Innovate Indiana program. What has transpired? In your view, what has been the biggest advancement in Terre Haute in the last year?
You know, when you look at some of the public-private partnerships that we've done, especially in and around downtown, we've taken down some condemned, dilapidated buildings, getting set up for construction, a new apartment complex, a new hotel complex connected to our convention center. On top of that, we're doing a lot of planning, right? We recognize there's utility constraints in the Hoosier State, and we're going to find an answer to that because we want employers, businesses, commercial developments to know that we are capable from a utility standpoint, and we want to get them here to Terre Haute, Indiana.
A couple big projects in the pipeline, not far from where we are sitting right now is a new hotel. There's a vacant lot where there'll be a new hotel, and a few blocks from that, a major housing development.
You know, you're looking at a combined $70 million of development in downtown Terre Haute, which is a lot for a community which is size is only 60,000, about that in city limits.
Talk about you, because your efforts, I know you made a point of saying you wanted to improve the town-gown relationship, if you will, the relationship between Terre Haute, Indiana State, Rose-Hulman, St. Mary's, Ivy Tech, all of the institutions that are here. Is that happening?
That is. I mean, you know, look no further than out east, State Road 46, Poplar Street, that area. Rose-Hulman's doing a $100 million project. It brings together innovation, medical research, Union Health and surgery. Right down the road, you'll see Indiana State's got a couple of construction projects, as well as they are working very hard to improve that student enrollment, and hats off to President Goddard and his efforts there. St. Mary of the Woods College, they continue to connect with employers to create that pipeline from the classroom to employment. And you can't talk about Terre Haute, Indiana, without mentioning what Leanne Crooks is doing at Ivy Tech. That is a great community college focused on workforce development, giving opportunities in the nursing field with our labor community, with advanced manufacturing, and we continue to see good growth there, good numbers there.
Final question for you, housing. Huge issue, obviously, for communities all over the state of Indiana. What is happening here? What are you doing here to get at that? Because I know it's a big focus. Got several projects going on, some blight remediation as well. Why and how is that working?
So a couple of things there. One, it's our partnership with Thrive West Central, the Vigo County Homes for the Future program. We offer infrastructure grants funded by the American Rescue Plan Act to really close that gap for small builders and developers to help them get the funds they need to move a project forward. We're also doing some of the little things, right? We're making building permits a quick and easy process online. We're doing plan review. Our city staff is here to work with the development community. You need a plan design to be reviewed. You need an inspection. I tell the team, you got 24 hours to give them a response because we owe them very clear and concise answers about where we view their projects. So some of those little things, some of those bigger things like the grants and the programs we have to offer. Last year we took down 100 blighted properties. This year we're on pace to do 125. On top of taking down some old buildings that the private market didn't need, we're working with the private sector to replace old buildings with new construction, bringing homes to all corners of the city of Terre Haute.
Terre Haute Mayor Brandon Sakbun, thanks for joining us.
Thank
We'll
you.
talk to you soon.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, the mayor mentioned Terre Haute-based Thompson Thrift. It has a big presence not only here in Terre Haute, but across the country, with deals in markets from Lady Lake, Florida, near the Villages, to Fishers in Hamilton County. The company is donating more than $2.5 million to Indiana State University in gifts and paid internships for the school's construction management program. Thompson Thrift has a long-standing connection to ISU. The CEOs and co-founders are Sycamore alums. Well, the Wabash Valley also with an eye on innovation. Next, we check in on the progress of a groundbreaking project here, Rose-Hulman's new entrepreneurship hub, Innovation Grove's impact on students, healthcare, and economic growth.
Time now for our Eye on Education, brought to you by PNC Bank.
Welcome back to Terre Haute in the Wabash Valley for our Eye on Education segment. Terre Haute, one of the stops this year on our Innovate Indiana series. It is a series that focuses on regional economies around the state of Indiana, challenges, opportunities, and what's next in regions around the state, from education to workforce to economic development. And here in Terre Haute, one of the nation's top engineering schools, Rose-Hulman Institute of Technology, is playing a major role in moving the needle forward on entrepreneurship and high technology. Rose about halfway finished with building Innovation Grove, a visionary $100 million plus entrepreneurship hub for students to get hands-on experiences in healthcare, STEM, and robotics.
This project-based work really provides students the right kind of experience.
Rose-Hulman President Rob Coons says vision is becoming reality in what could ultimately be a transformational moment for the region. Innovation Grove is a $102 million effort to connect students, faculty, and the private sector in creating an innovation community. The catalyst, a $30 million Lilly Endowment grant designed to get Indiana colleges and universities thinking big about improving quality of life in their neighboring communities.
So the real challenge for us was to find a way to do that kind of work, really improve the quality of place in the Terre Haute and Wabash Valley, and at the same time create opportunities for our students. So, and we feel like this was a real win for us in that regard.
The district, well under construction near Terre Haute Regional Airport, will be the new home of Rose-Hulman Ventures, the school's arm for turning innovative ideas into products, as well as research labs and industry partnerships. The anchor, a cutting-edge ambulatory surgery center led by renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. Michael Miniginny, the CEO and founder of the Indiana Joint Replacement Institute, in partnership with Union Health.
I would call it a destination facility for Western Indiana, Eastern Illinois, for patients to converge there to get the highest quality care instead of traveling to Indianapolis or Chicago or to St. Louis.
With a literal connection to one of the nation's top engineering schools,
where engineering students could literally walk across next door, see a surgery, and watch the implants being put in or hip and knee replacement that they're learning about in class. I mean, what an amazing educational opportunity that would be.
Minnie Guinea, a Terre Haute native and Rose-Hulman grad, is trying to tamp down expectations, but clearly sees enormous potential.
Could it be transformational? Yes, it could, right? I mean, we have to navigate some politics here in the state of Indiana, as you can imagine, because there's another place that we are all fond of, which is Warsaw, Indiana, where two of the biggest 5 orthopedic implant companies in the world are there. I think this has the opportunity to be a second really premier orthopedic hub of Indiana, and that'd be great for the state.
Innovation and community collaboration colliding here in Terre Haute with Innovation Grove. A project will continue to follow.
Here's what's making news around Indiana. Brought to you by the Indiana Association of Realtors. Indiana's 21,000 realtors. The neighbors you know, the experts you can count on.
Alarming new numbers out regarding how many Indiana high school students are choosing to head to college. The Indiana Commission on Higher Education, with new data showing just over half of Hoosier high school seniors will pursue a degree. That number was 60% before the pandemic and is below the national average. The Lumina Foundation says the numbers are discouraging, but not surprising.
I think this is a really important thing for Indiana to pay attention to and figure out how to reverse this trend, because it is going to impact our economy. It's going to impact the types of jobs that Hoosiers have.
To the city of Tipton, which this week launched its largest capital campaign to build a new baseball complex across from Tipton High School. The goal, to raise $1 million to add amenities and features to the complex and its 3 baseball diamonds. The previous facilities were demolished in 2023, leaving the city's baseball league to play outside their hometown.
I'm really hopeful that what this does is show the community that not only can we dream the things that we want to see, but we can actually, as a community, see them collectively develop and brought to fruition.
The city has already invested $2 million toward the project, and a groundbreaking is expected within the next 2 months. The Indy Chamber is turning up the volume on a new effort to showcase the state to young professionals. Through a partnership with local production company 45, interns and college students can get free tickets to summer concerts at Rock the Ruins, the music venue at Indy's Holiday Park. Remote workers moving to Indianapolis through Make My Move are also eligible. Allegiant is launching a new flight from Fort Wayne to Florida just in time for Thanksgiving. The nonstop flight to Fort Lauderdale begins November 20th and is the airline's 8th destination at FWA. The flight is seasonal and will operate 2 days per week. Well, coming up next, a global animal healthcare company headquartered in Indiana answering the call to fight a deadly puppy disease. See how Elanco's parvo treatment is saving dogs before they even get sick. Details in this week's Business of Health. Welcome back to Inside Indiana Business, inside the historic Hulman building in the heart of downtown Terre Haute. This city, the scene of IBJ Media's Innovate Indiana Series this week. We'll have much more with happenings here in West Central Indiana in a moment. But first, let's send it back to the studio in Indianapolis and Kylie Valletta with the Business of Health. Kylie.
Thanks, Gary. Greenfield-based Elanco Animal Health was the first to market 2 years ago with the only treatment for parvovirus. Now, even more protection for pups. Elanco recently earned clearance to give the medication to also prevent the virus. Alfred is the poster pup for Elanco, pioneering the first treatment for parvo. The highly contagious virus can be devastating. It infects puppies that aren't yet fully vaccinated, causing vomiting and diarrhea that's usually deadly if not treated.
In the shelter space, parvovirus can be so deadly and devastating because if you think about the population of shelter, you've got all these puppies coming in, you don't know their backgrounds, you don't know if they've been vaccinated.
Elanco created the only treatment for parvo, called canine parvovirus monoclonal antibody, or CPMA, 2 years ago.
And that product actually stops the virus dead in its tracks. So it helps give these puppies a better fighting chance against the virus.
And new this summer, vets can now give CPMA as a preventative. Elanco says it's a game changer in the shelter space.
So we give it to that puppy before they even get exposed to parvovirus. And then it's already there, it's circulating. So if they get that exposure or when they get that exposure, it's ready to fight from day zero.
This is the first time Elanco has produced a monoclonal antibody, making it only the second animal health company in the U.S. to do so.
This is a new manufacturing process. This is a whole new skill set for Elanco to develop. And now we're showing that we can actually do this, and we've been doing it now for several years.
Positive for pups and business momentum, as Elanco also anticipates its new headquarters coming soon to downtown Indianapolis.
So this is a huge innovative effort for our team. This product has really brought the purpose to why we show up every day at Elanco.
And Elanco says it has donated more than $3 million worth of the medicine to shelters and clinics throughout the country, including Indiana. Warsaw-based OrthoWorks helping students in Northeast Indiana to get a hands-on and goggles-on experience running a medical technology startup. A $1 million grant to OrthoWorks, the state's orthopedic initiative, is creating a virtual medtech startup that students can run using virtual reality. OrthoWorks is partnering with iExplore, a woman-owned tech startup in Indianapolis, to create the immersive experience. The new VR experience will be inside a storefront at the Junior Achievement BizTown in Fort Wayne, a simulated town where students learn about business. The $1 million grant comes from the Don Wood Foundation. A pharmaceutical contract development and manufacturing organization On the Grow in Bloomington is announcing even bigger plans. Simtra Biopharma purchased a 65-acre property from Cook Group. The new space is near Simtra's existing production facility in Bloomington. That's on top of a $250 million expansion already underway at Simtra's campus. The company says it could use the new site to ramp up vial and syringe production. One potential use would mark Simtra's first commercial scale project in the U.S. focused on injectable oncology drugs. Time now to send it back to Gary in the Wabash Valley. Gary.
All right, Kylie, great stuff. Thank you. Innovation, more innovation going on here in the state of Indiana. Well, when we come back, we will wrap things up in Terre Haute, and we'll also take a look inside the numbers and the storylines at Colts camp in Westfield.
ZZ Top.
Oldies but goodies, hitting the concert stage near the banks of the Wabash in Terre Haute. The Mill, attracting a wide range of musical acts, from the legendary ZZ Top to iconic Southern country band Alabama. The Mill, which opened 5 years ago, one of several new attractions driving tourism dollars in Vigo County and the region.
And joining me now with perspective on an emerging sector of the economy in West Central Indiana, tourism, is the Executive Director of the Terre Haute Convention and Visitors Bureau, Karen Dyer. And Karen, thanks for joining me outside of the Terre Haute Convention Center, which now is some 3 years old, right?
Right. It's in its third year and doing well.
Good. Well, let's talk about, speaking of doing well, last year was a big year, 2024, a big year for tourism. You had some big events, right?
Yes, we did. We had a Terre Haute Air Show. We opened the Larry Bird Museum. We opened the casino. We had a Division III cross-country championship. So we had a pretty big year. And we saw about a 6.8% increase in tourism, our largest in the history of tourism.
Has it been paying off?
It has been paying off. So we're seeing the fruits of that as we see increased jobs. So our jobs that were provided for were 4,000. So we increased that.
Certainly the casino was a big opening. How has that impacted visitors coming into the region?
I hear that they are 100% full this summer. So I think that people are coming here just to go to the casino and bringing that tourism here that we had hoped for.
Right now, I think you and I were talking a moment ago, a couple of hundred hotel rooms downtown. You need more than that. I know the mayor and I spoke earlier in the show on a hotel that is planned here. How important is it to get that get that finished?
If we want to continue to grow our tourism, our downtown, and our conventions, we're going to need that third hotel. We just had a 600-person convention a couple weeks ago, and it was great. So we need to expand that and give more opportunity for larger conventions to come in. Also, our work with ISU, they keep the hotels pretty busy downtown.
Karen Dyer, the Executive Director of the Terre Haute Convention and Visitors Bureau. Thanks for joining us. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.
Okay.
Gone was the euphoria of a 13-3 record and a home playoff game.
Well, as we approach football season in Indiana, it's important to note Terre Haute's connection to the Indianapolis Colts. Rose-Hulman served as the home of Colts training camp for 10 years, from 1999 to 2009. That was back in the Peyton, Edger, and Dungy era. Now the Colts sweat it out under the hot Indiana sun at Grant Park in Westfield. Training camp continuing to be a game winner for Hamilton County.
All Colts fans' eyes and ears on Grant Park in Westfield. The Colts hitting the turf in Hamilton County under the hot sun. This massive sports complex that has pumped big money into the Westfield economy since it opened 11 years ago. Grant Park's next chapter includes a 30-year, $184 million public-private partnership development plan that could include a 10,000-seat stadium, housing, and hotels. Since 2018, the Colts have called this place home, training camp. But there's a different vibe this year after the recent death of owner Jim Irsay. His daughter's now with the reins.
You will not see as much of a front-facing approach from the daughters. First of all, no one has the same presence as their father, so that's just going to be different. Having gotten to know Jim Irsay very well, fortunately for me, he was a very emotional owner, and he loved his team. The daughters love football too, don't get me wrong, but I think sometimes he led with his heart. They are much more driven, they being his daughters, are much more driven by the business aspect of it. They are invested. They are truly invested. They grew up in this. It's all they have ever known. So they have a passion for it that I think is very clear. But I do think they will approach it very differently from their father, a little more pragmatically. I think you should expect a very high standard. That is how Carly Irsay Gordon in particular has run the business side of the operation for many years. So I don't anticipate it'll be any different when it comes to football. And, we'll see. It's a new era for sure.
Much more with ESPN sports reporter Stephen Holder on the most recent edition of the Business and Beyond podcast.
Well, that's all the time we have for this edition of Inside Indiana Business. As we close from Terre Haute in West Central Indiana, I want to leave you with the sights and sounds of an Indiana tradition, the Indiana State Fair, which is now underway, running through August 17th. I'm Gerry Dick. Thanks for joining us. Go out and make it a successful week.